Jones here at the National Conference of Volunteering and Service, reporting for Business Boomer and the Philanthropy Project, and we are joined here by hundreds of nonprofit and business leaders, among which we have S Nelson Kumar, all the way from Boise, Idaho.
That's right.
Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you.
And you're with Albertsons, and tell us why you're here.
Thank you. Well, Albertsons, part of our legacy at Albertsons is really to be involved in our local communities. So across the western United States, we have close to 500 stores. And so we work hard to actively involve our associates in our local communities. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn more about other companies and what they're doing and what's working well and how we can continue to improve our programs.
And there's been a lot of talk here about, incorporating service as part of people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could tell us a little bit more about the details of how your employees get involved, how you motivate them to stay involved.
Absolutely. Well, we have a formal program called Volunteers in Action where we encourage associates to give their own personal volunteer time, but then we also host and plan corporately led projects for associates to get together as a team in our local communities. We do have focus areas where we try to focus our attention on hunger relief issues and health issues and nutrition issues as they relate back to our business. So ways that we can help the community, but also we know there's a great aspect of volunteerism to employee morale. And so we know that when our associates have an opportunity to try something a little different in the community and work together in a different way, that really does well for their spirit, and they enjoy those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And how have you been able to motivate your employees to take part in these programs?
I think generally there's a real excitement about giving back. Our associates are very caring, and they are part of their local communities, and in many cases they know so many people from our local communities because they're the customers that they serve every day. So I think there's a general excitement about giving back to the local groups, whether it's youth related or working with senior citizens or in any way feeling like they can really make a difference.
And is there any sort of incentive program whereby if they put in a certain number of hours, they get any kind of benefits through the company? Or
we do have a program called Dollars for Service where we'll reward the nonprofit that an associate works with in a volunteer capacity with a small grant, just to I think demonstrate our commitment to them being involved in the community and for helping to strengthen those nonprofits.
Wow.
It's one of our incentives.
That's wonderful. And what is your vision for how you're hoping to increase this program?
Well, I'd love to see us have greater participation in the program. And so we know just with the economic times, there's greater need in our communities. And we also know our associates are even busier than ever. And so trying to balance how we can continue to build excitement and continue to get participation given the busy schedules that everyone has. So my vision is that we just continue to build it through more effective communication tools. That's one thing I'm learning about here, making sure that we have support throughout the entire company, which I think we do, but better demonstrating that. Our division actually covers 8 individual states, and so we know there are different needs in different communities, and so looking at how we can continue to tie into local partners and build excitement that way as well.
Mm-hmm. And what have been some of the real lessons from this conference for you that you'll take back to your community and your company?
I was just in a session about excellence standards, and it's probably one of the best sessions I listened to today about how to take our program to the next level. And 2 takeaways, I had from that session were making sure that we have a clear understanding and clear communication about how our volunteerism and corporately supported associate engagement program is tied to our business goals. How are we communicating that? Because it's certainly a part of it, and we're proud of that. And so are we really sharing that message with our internal constituents and external constituents? And then the other lesson was just sharing those standards with our volunteer council. We're organized in different teams and making sure that everyone who's involved in the program from an organizational standpoint has an understanding of some of those best practices. So I'll be sharing that as soon as I get back.
Wonderful. And what are some of the challenges? I think in this new era of service, there's a lot of companies that are trying to start these programs, and you guys are ahead of the game in terms of having one in place. What are the challenges of motivating service through a workplace?
I think I mentioned it earlier, one of the biggest challenges is just busy schedules and how to help us make sure we're balancing for our associates the work time and personal time. We want to provide volunteer opportunities, but those are done on personal time, and I learned today that that is actually one of the best practices that they've discovered in that research. So I think the challenge is always recruitment and figuring out what appeals to people and what they will take personal time to do. I think that family involvement is a critical component of a successful volunteer activity, so making sure that we continue to find those opportunities where associates can bring their family members, bring their kids, and start to really educate that next generation on volunteerism. So we can play a big role in that, I think.
And what have been some of the sort of company-wide volunteer projects that you've worked on?
We have some different focus areas that I mentioned. Hunger relief is one of them. So we annually will encourage, actually in the month of June is our focus area for children's health and nutrition. So we've had projects across the division, across the Intermountain West states that involved working in a community garden or serving lunch at a Boys and Girls Club or engaging with youth at a community program in a health and fitness activity and then having lunch with them. So those are 3 examples of some of the projects we've worked on.
And looking at sort of the broader national picture now, I'm sure you were there for the First Lady's speech, and as we try to usher in this new era, what is your perspective from a whole different part of the country of what needs to happen for this to take place?
Interesting, because we've had some of those discussions already. There are some other associates or colleagues of mine from community organizations in the Boise area. And so I think there's a great amount of excitement and possibility, and we recognize that we need to make sure our nonprofits are prepared for the demand or for the I think all of the inquiries that they will now be receiving from potential volunteers, making sure that they have the capacity to actually fit them into their organization in an effective way.
Thank you so much, Stacy, for your time and for being here and for being part of this historic conference here today, this whole week. And we are here with Business Boomer and the National Conference on Volunteering and Service, and we'll be back in a moment.